Hey gang, it's Fillmore. For those of you who are jonesing for the extra Sunday episodes, no longer available on YouTube, you can access them on patreon.com/JimFix, JIMFIXX. If you sign up for the Whiskey Sobbing Computer Board level at $2.50 a month, you'll have access not only to those extra Sunday episodes that are no longer available on YouTube, but you will get 50% of the Patreon content going forward. If you would like full access to all Sunday episodes, all Patreon content, including the last 32 episodes or 33 episodes produced thus far, just sign up for the Black Kluge $5 level or higher. If you want to give us more money, you are more than welcome to. For those of you who don't do PayPal, or Patreon rather, we have a PayPal address as well, johnnythegreek21@gmail.com. For those of you who cannot get Patreon to work and would like to use PayPal as a method of monthly payment, we will only accept donations from the Black Kluge level or higher. And privately, personally, we will send you all the episodes on Patreon and the missing Sunday episodes, of course.
No.
No. I'm just like a happy-go-lucky guy.
And all this is about having fun.
That's right. I'm not looking for any special treatment. When I walk in, I don't want you averting your eyes. I don't want you bowing to me.
Nothing like that, no.
Nothing like that. Jesus, the longest book promotion.
Yeah, but I'm not you.
No,
in other words,
you're not. Clear the halls. That's what I want.
But
And what's so great about it is that if I met you in person, you wouldn't have the balls to come up and say that to me. Because I'd sock you in the fucking head. And probably deck you. What? I have to get rid of the wrap-up show because, and I'll tell you why. The purpose of the wrap-up show is not to sit there and criticize me. Whatever I'm doing is so that everyone here can make a living. I got a guy now who's finding out the real names of the occupations of what the people do who bully me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm kind of a fighter, so...
Because I drive into Manhattan every day and I listen to it, okay? And if you cut out the bitching, it probably would be about an hour of broadcast.
You're right. Do you want to know something? Okay.
I said earlier I thought it was kind of weird that Jerry still dyes his hair. Like, you know, when your head becomes that big and, you know, whatever.
You got a little tough to hair.
You think the vanity would go out the window, but no.
It's my mind, not my penis that I have to train.
Yeah, I'm working on training my penis. That's where I've been going wrong. That's why I lost half my money. I can't believe my penis. Train the mind.
Richard, what?
You come over, Twee. They named me Twee. First of all, fuck you. My name is Howard.
Why can't you just be Howard? Why do you have to have a separate
They had to give you a Hebrew name.
I see how it operates. Now, instead, I'm not just the fan or the comic who sits in every once in a while. I see how the place really operates. And I see, yeah, it really is all Howard's story.
You know what? That's my problem. That's why I'm not the psychiatrist. I always do that in social situations. I go, let me see how I can make this about me. I'll tell a witty story. Meanwhile...
I'm witty, too. Well,
I know it's less than last year. That's why...
That is not true. Yeah, well, yeah, I make less money than last year because I work 3 days a week, but I got a raise.
And how do you figure?
How do I figure? I looked at my paycheck, you fucker.
I mean, Bob, if you work 4 hours a day, now down to 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week.
We're working 4 days this week.
All right. You read the paper, and you get half the stories wrong.
So
now, how long are you going to keep the hair thing?
I'm going to keep the hair as long as it keeps on top of my head. What do you mean?
There's a point in time that it's...
Is my hair too long, you think?
When you get a certain age, I think that the
You
hair...
think it looks silly?
Yeah.
You do?
really?
I do.
I don't want to be pranked ever. I prank! No one else!
Okay.
I'm the prankster here, boy. This is my world. I'm just letting you get a taste of it. And when I pull you out of this world, it's torture.
Welcome, everybody, to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm your host with the most, Fillmore, a.k.a. Jim Fix. And with me for this particular episode is Kayla. How are you, my dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just basking in the glow of you and Raven's, what did you call it? Clam bake night? Or
Yes, the clam bake.
I only heard that as a song, I believe, back in the day. I can't remember who sang it, but you guys did a fantastic job, and I wholly recommend anybody starting off, if you want to go in reverse order and listen to that one first, you're not going to miss out any more than you're going to, suffer if you start at number 1 of the Patreon episodes. But this one for today, guys, we are going to go into someone we've never focused on in the history of QF, and that's who? Drum beat.
Jason.
Yes, Jason Kaplan, everyone's favorite suck ass and kiss ass. Me and James got to a little bit of him in our KC. It's the most recent one. It's not out yet. We finished editing it, and it'll be out the following week, where KC snaps and you see Jason in studio. And he's only been with the show probably since 2000 or so. And I mean, what's your take on Jason before we get into any of these clips? I've never liked him, except when he's gone after people, like when the Back Office Radio show was on, when he would talk shit about Gary and say, well, you know, you're here, you're gone half the time, so I don't have much respect for you.
Same. I've never liked him. I don't like him.
Okay.
But I just as you said, I have respect for him because he will speak up. Sometimes, I mean, he doesn't do it as much anymore. Nobody does. But back in the day, he absolutely would call somebody out for their shit. He'd get in arguments. He'd yell. And I feel like it was pretty genuine, his rage and crazy. But aside from that, I do not like him. I think he's shady, sneaky, just...
Okay, let's on the Stuttering John level, and Stuttering John was maybe the biggest asshole where that was concerned. I think he set the bar for, you know, the Oscar for best backstabbing piece of shit goes to Stuttering John. He kind of set the benchmark. Do you think Jason was as bad?
No.
No. You think there's things he would keep to himself?
I think so. I think Jason is probably a little bit smarter in that. Like if there was something really he shouldn't touch, I think he would know not to say anything. Where Stuttering John would be like, I don't give a fuck, and he throws it out.
There's one, I'll give it, that's a perfect, I think I agree, I'm with that 100%. At the end of Who Mourns for a Dumbass, our coverage of the Pelican brief, the third part, near the end we started playing some Back Office Radio, and at one point Will kind of mentions to someone who's wearing a fedora, he says, offhandedly says, who are you supposed to be, Don Buchwald? And Jason quickly goes, hey, Will. Like, you could hear probably, he goes, hey, don't, like, you know, you can't see it because we didn't have the video, but you can hear him go, you know, you don't mention it, you know, you're not supposed to. And
wow.
So Jason would know not to do something that stupid, but Will just blurted it out. And I mean, the fact that he had to mention that, like, that would be maybe a problem, already gives you it tells you all you need to know about how Stern's compound really works from the top down.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently Will forgot where he was or wasn't thinking, and just it blurted. Yeah, that Jason actually caught it and was like, ooh, you shouldn't have said that.
That's correct.
Yeah, that.
So the one of the first clips we're going to play, guys, and we have one big one and two smaller ones, was Jason's confidence pills, the Lexapro, causing trouble in the office. And this was a wrap-up segment from June 4th, 2007. And I looked up the side effects. There's nothing about these pills that indicates they're about confidence building. They're antidepressants. Right. They're antidepressants. And if anything, they make you sleepy. So they're different than like Wellbutrin, because Wellbutrin, it kind of gives you a little bump, and I could see where that one would give you a little bit of confidence just because you've got energy that maybe you didn't have before. But Lexapro, I'll be honest, I've taken them and that's how I know. I've, had some issues with depression, but and I have taken them, but I wasn't on them long because the minute I took them, I just wanted to sleep. That's all I wanted to do. So they didn't make you productive.
Not at all. Not at all. So so it'll be interesting what he says about it, because that wasn't my experience at all.
Did you by any chance get the munchies? Because I know sometimes these things make people want to eat abnormally, like weird times, almost like getting a pot high, and then all of a sudden, Jesus, keep the brownies away.
That's funny. I don't remember that part, but I could see it happening, because anytime I'm super sleepy or I'm taking some kind of medicine that makes me sleepy, I also want to eat more. So I don't know what the correlation is with that physically or whatever, but yeah, I could see that it would want to make you eat more.
And I'm not saying that, guys, just because Jason is the size of a small Mack truck. I'm saying, it would make sense, because I know that when my wife would take what's it called, Benadryl, or like even some certain pills in the night to help her sleep, they increased her appetite for some fucking reason. So even at 3 a.m., she'd look like a chipmunk just attacked, like just opening the refrigerator a crack. I'd wake up and hear, and she'd like, you just see her like shoving stuff in her mouth really quick. Like, I go, are you even enjoying this? Or is this some kind of, she was half asleep eating because she got hungry. And I go, okay, maybe I might want to, I don't know, valerian root or something. I don't know. Some shit. But either way, I found this fascinating, and I thought I'd bring this up as a clip to give a little more insight into problems that Jason had as a result of these stupid pills.
Jace, you took a little abuse today for your confidence pills. What was going on there?
Yeah, I don't remember how it got brought up, but they were talking about the first time I went on Alexa Pro, and I got a little out of hand, I guess, with my personality.
Do you remember what you said to Tom?
To this day, I have absolutely no idea what I said to Tom. I have ideas of what it could have been, but nothing that was so bad that warranted Tom to run the gamut.
Here's what I remember. It wasn't about you saying something. You started coming to sales meetings with me because Jason was helping me out with a lot of stuff. And I remember we go to meetings in Tom's office, and whatever Jason did, it flew right over my head. And I think it was one of those weird things that you suffer from when Jason first started coming to the meetings. It's almost like, Jason used to be an intern, now he's in meetings. He should just be quiet and not say anything.
Okay. Now, one thing I forgot about was Jason is also a massive pothead. So that's probably why he's the size he is, aside from just eating out of depression, which, is fairly common. But the Lexapro thing, I don't know enough people who've taken it. So anybody out there, any of the fans who've know people or have some experience with this thing, tell us if you know anybody or have had any personal experience where that's happened to you, where you become more outspoken or the censor is lifted and you're inappropriate at the wrong moments. Because that's what it sounds like. It was almost like he took, I don't know, like Coke or something.
That was going to be my question. Was he kind of sped up and things were just coming out, or was he just so loopy he had no control over what he was saying?
Well, if he can't remember something and he said something that would cause, don't we all remember the time we said something and got in trouble for it, whether it was our parents or whether it was a boss or a coworker that reported us or something? I mean, the consequences end up being that little marker in life to remind you fucked up.
Absolutely. There's shit to this day. I'm like 10 years ago. I'm like, ooh, I can't believe I said that.
But of your own volition or due to having ingested something?
Well, that's another story. I think we all have those.
I don't mean like drunken true, like in vino veritas type of thing.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, like you drink too much and you're like, oh shit, why? Oh no, that's no good. That's no good.
Oh yeah, and I'm certainly guilty of that as well. And but the sad part was like someone saying like, yeah, man, you got drunk, and what'd I say? Well, he kind of called his girlfriend a bit of a cunt, and I go, but she is. In the case of the guy was there and did not get upset because she was being the biggest cunt of the night, talking shit about people, and she was fucked up, like really fucked up, belligerent. This chick, and I love her to this day. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. She just shouldn't be drinking. That's all. And everybody was fed up with her, and people were looking around like, who the fuck is this? Sorry, derailment. I mean, guys, it's part of life. Unfortunately, you learn not to drink booze X. Don't drink that. Keep me away from the whiskey. So Gary's going to start talking a little bit about the meetings with Tom Chiasano. Tom Chiasano was the one who pulled Gary aside and did the mensch move. He didn't give Jason shit. He just kind of went behind the scenes and said, look, kind of rein him in and find out what's going on. I don't really like this.
And it wasn't that you said something, like had an idea that wasn't right. You made sort of a goofy comment, like you might have goofed on Tom.
Well, this is one of the things. No, it wasn't even on Tom. That's why it was one of those things. We had a bit that was retard something. And Sam, one of the sales guys, was in there screaming about how we can't sell a bit that has retard in it or something. So I said something stupid like, well, let's just call it Retard Olympics and just sell it as the Olympics. And Sam snapped at me and said, don't tell me how to do my job. And I was like, I'm sorry. So that's the only thing I trace it back.
But was it that?
I'm sure I said it condescending.
Right. I'm sorry.
But I know that Tom pulled me to the side. He said, listen, by the way, I was in his office. Tom and I would go over a list of things for the day. We got to get this bit done, get that bit done. He goes, by the way, and Thomas is not like a jerk, not for anything, but Jason, you better talk to him. I didn't like his. He gave me a weird attitude in the meeting, and I don't really need. It was a very weird thing, Jason.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad.
I had a.
So, I mean, it just sounds like he was uppity more than anything. So, not even the content of what he said; it was how he said things.
Right, and so, see, I wonder, is that Lexapro related, or is that Jason just being full of himself? Because he was an intern, and now he's part of the staff, and then he has that condescending attitude about him anyway. And so I wonder in that particular instance, was that really just him?
I'd say a good chunk of it, because he was elevated by Gary and he was favored by Gary. I mean, we did the whole ski lodge thing, the whole Tracy situation, and Jason was in on that, and he wanted Bowie's favorites. But at the same time, wouldn't hesitate to throw Bowie under the bus if the situation presented itself. And I believe at some point Jason privately became really pissed off that having to do Gary's job for him sometimes when it was, and not getting paid anything close to what Gary was getting, like on the weekends, let's say, and he's doing administrative stuff that he's not paid to do. And because Gary's not there, because he's not supposed to be there. And you see this guy making, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 times what you're making, you might be a little pissed off. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point.
And maybe doing things more efficiently. Now, there was one day when Gary called in sick, and there was a whole wrap-up show dedicated to, and we got to get to it, how smoothly the place ran without Gary. And Sal was saying, you know what? Now I didn't have to go through the roadblock. I mean, Gary, that was, to get my stuff to Howard or to have a more direct line. And it's drawing a picture of Gary as this, I don't know, like wall. You got to get past Gary to get anything to Howard. And then Bowie tried to, before Marcy, he tried to make it so that wall just got bigger and bigger. Like, if you want to get to him, you're going to have to get through me, and that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And power tripping as a result, because if you can't get the money, you may as well get the fear. You may as well get the whole I'm the producer shit. So
he's the gatekeeper. And so Gary was feeling super, elevated himself and pompous and like, yeah, I'm the gatekeeper. You go through me. And I could see that, and a lot of resentment being built up. And it's funny, without him there to slow down the process of the actual work being done. That's funny. Sure. That's actually good. You should absolutely do a show on that. Because that's a good point. Yeah. It's like Gary's making more work for everybody.
Well, yeah. The way it was explained real quickly was Sal said, Howard, like they'd go into the studio where Howard is and say, Howard, we're thinking about, and then Gary would say, hold on. I got it. And then he would explain the story to them, to Howard instead of them. And isn't that making things more complicated than if you just get the people that are doing these bits and know exactly what they are, tell them?
Absolutely. Gary doesn't know the whole story. So he's just reiterating what they told him. What is even the point of that? Is it just control?
It's control and power. It has to be. Yeah, there's no other way I can explain it.
I had to pull Jason to the side and say, listen, just lay low for a while. And then
that's when I told you about the pills.
He told me about the pills. And then for months after that, Jason would constantly stop me and go, am I okay? Am I being weird? Am I stepping over the line? I'm like, no, you're fine. You're fine.
It was a very weird feeling. I don't know how any other way to describe it other than there was like a heavy veil in front of your face and just gets lifted off. And now all of a sudden I got all this confidence and outgoingness I never had before. I didn't understand how to control it.
And guys, it's me.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said. When I told him what Tom said, he goes, listen, I feel really weird. I started taking these pills, and they've given me more confidence. He goes, really, it's the real me coming out now.
And I think Gary nailed it. It's not, they don't give him confidence. They're making him, the depression is sort of keeping him back and making him like a type B personality. Yeah. And then now with the pills out, it's like, oh, now I don't have this big cloud or this big, I'm not Atlas holding the world over my head. Now I can be the forthright asshole I really am.
Exactly. Because it clicked for me just like it did you when he was talking. I was like, oh, it didn't give him anything. It took away the haze, took away the heaviness. And so, hello, here I am. That's what Ari said. And I was like, that's exactly what it is.
It's the real asshole.
Yes, there's no filter.
Yes, and I mean, do you remember that one episode where his mother called in and she was she sounded like a nightmare. Absolutely, a little typical Jewish mother, like a caricature of a Jewish mother, overbearing, over controlling, dressing him, making sure he wears the Sears outfit she picked for him, or like, I don't know, just. And then he had him on, and they had her on, and then Jason was in studio saying, I don't like this, and I don't like how you treat dad and all this, and like everybody in the family's a doormat for the mother. And it sounded so much like Ray and Ben.
Ooh.
Like Ray, mother and son versus the world, but even the son doesn't get away scot-free.
Wow, that is a good you picked up on that. It never occurred to me. I never looked at it that way, but you're right.
It was one of those situations where I said, this might be one of the reasons why Howard went to Jason's wedding and not Sal's wedding, not Sal's, Richard's wedding or Will's wedding, because he wanted to see the dysfunction for himself.
Oh my God, it's so obvious now.
I think he saw a lot of parallels in that. Like, and he wouldn't. And the one thing I really hate, I have to be honest, guys, there's some people out there that go, oh, he's always favoring the tribe and all this bullshit. Like, if you're Jewish, what are you talking about? He gives Ronnie more shit than anybody, and Ronnie's name is not Ronnie Yamamoto. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody has taken shit from him, so that means nothing. I think it was more. He was just tuned into something that was familiar. That's what drew him to that wedding.
Man, you're so right. You are so right.
It's just a shot in the dark.
No, I agree. I think you're right.
So the next one is from 2010, August 31. It's another wrap-up show, of course, where we get all the good gold. And this is one called Jason Killed Richard Jeni. Now, for those of you too young to remember, Jeni was a road dog. He was notorious on like late-night shows. He did a lot of spots. He was a kind of $1 million a year type comic, like literally touring constantly, doing shows, getting bits on, some TV work and what have you, but doing a lot of specials and making a decent living for a comic, constantly on the road. But after a while, he couldn't get on the show anymore. So they're going to talk about how he wouldn't take the no's from Gary anymore. So Jason had to get on the phone and tell him it's a no. We're not coming in. And this is pre-Marcy. So for whatever reason, it's like Bob Levy. We don't want to have you in anymore. We're fed up, or we think you've been on too often, or whatever it is. So here's the clip, and you guys judge for yourself. You think Jason's a good person or not?
Depends on the level of the celebrity.
Gary used to call me the angel of death.
But Jason gets to do like people you've never heard of. I'll take
Richard Jeni.
Stop. That was different.
May he rest in peace.
By the way, Richard Jeni was not the lowest celebrity. It got to the point where I couldn't figure out any different ways to say no.
I love this story.
Jason has turned bright red. Your face matches your T-shirt right now.
It's the greatest story. I killed Richard Jeni. That's how I see it anyway.
Jason said no to Richard Jeni.
Okay, I have to stop it there, guys. Now, whether you're a fan of Richard Jeni or not, you just kind of have to be going, okay, is it nervous laughter or is it psychotic laughter?
I think it's psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's nervous laughter. I think he thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ew, that is gross.
I think did I send you this clip or the previous one that's for you to listen to?
No, I got this one.
Okay. Yeah. And so
I heard it.
You heard it.
Hearing it
Did you have to take
again.
Lexapro after hearing it?
Yes, I'm back on it.
Lexapro, if you want to sponsor us, this is how good we work. We know to work you in, just like Bulletproof Coffee. I've been to countries where the smile is to disarm any kind of bad feeling that might happen between you and that person. So you've done something wrong or they've done something wrong, and to get away from the bad feeling, they'll smile or they'll laugh it off, kind of thing, because it's just a way to diffuse the situation. With this, I don't get it. Like, what's funny about it? A guy who committed suicide literally shot himself.
This is a gleeful laugh. This isn't that Robin laugh where she's laughing because she is so uncomfortable and she's deflecting, and that's her coping mechanism. No, this is glee. this is like a little evil elf or something who's like just so pleased with the joke that he played or whatever. This is, it's like dark.
Yeah, so you guys listen for yourselves and you tell us.
Like 2 nights before he took his own life, which is really sad.
Which is really tragic. Jason is dancing on his grave and he's cracking up.
No, I feel bad, obviously, but the whole, like, when you tell the story, because he pretended not to be him on the phone.
There's a whole thing going on.
Jason's in hysterics over someone who killed himself 2 days later. You're a sick mother, Jason.
No, listen, it's sad that he killed himself. He seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah.
But Gary's like, I can't deal with him anymore. You got to call him back.
I said, Jason, you got to call because I can't. I've run out of ways to say no without embarrassing both of us.
So
okay, now doesn't this also make Bowie the asshole as well?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you're a producer. Sometimes that means having to shoulder. Sometimes the job that's the less glamorous shit is you're not coming on. You can't come on. I've been told it's no different than managers and agents. There was one quote in Bill Graham's book, Bill Graham Presents, where they were working on Amnesty International, the tour, trying to get artists together. So they're in Japan, and all of a sudden there's some kind of MTV simulcast, and some of the artists were like, well, no, I got a record coming out here and I don't want to have my performance broadcast live because it'll dilute the effect of the record, or I'm touring here and that's going to hurt the tour, all that kind of shit. And then Bill Graham was saying, look, there's some people out there, like the agent is there for the artist who says, listen, Jack, can you go and tell the reporters there that I'm not doing this tour because I want to be about peace and love and happiness and recycling and, no green footprints. So how can I be the asshole if I go tell them that I can't do this? So you need to take – and that's Bowie in this situation. You got to tell a guest we can't – just whatever reason, and just keep saying no if you have to. But what they're implying is he called them to try to come in again and again, and they stopped having him in for whatever reason.
Right. And it does sound like that he was calling. So I don't know what was going on with him, that maybe he was melting down, obviously.
Yeah, because maybe gigs are drying up a little bit.
Right.
Because he was getting in I think he was close to 50. And I don't know if I don't remember any recession or anything at that time. It was more probably along the lines of losing gigs. And seeing less money coming in, perhaps. But he was also depressed, Richard Jenny. There's definitely he had psychological problems. But to hear Jason talk about it like this.
Oh, yeah, it's sad is what it is. Like and he's joyful in the fact that he helped this man push him over the edge is how he comes off. Now, whether he means it like that, I don't know. But he is getting some kind of sick pleasure from it.
Yeah, enjoyment, right?
He is getting enjoyment from it. And I don't know if it's because it's the story around the office. So he's, being center of attention for this funny thing. Or if there is also a part of him that's getting some weird pleasure off contributing to that man's demise. It's,
unbelievable. But I was going to ask you on a side note, but similar topic. When are you going to be down for when we do the Dana Plato stuff?
Oh, yeah, because that's a hot button.
Yeah,
for me, because I am. Oh, it kills me. That story kills me, and they are in the worst form that I can think of. As far as like them being so horrible.
Yes.
Humans, as humans. And she was so sad. I think people very easily want to. It's interesting to me who gets made fun of, like Amy Winehouse, and who doesn't get made fun of. Robert Downey Jr., for an example. I've always found that very interesting in Hollywood, but obviously this girl had so many deep, dark problems and they just exploited them and she couldn't take it anymore. That's fucking heartbreaking.
Well, I guess it comes into a little bit, and I'm sorry for the digression, but again, it happens. It's our show. When like Artie, did he enable him? Well, of course he enabled him. His family enabled him. Then everybody's culpable unless you cut him off. And Hank the Angry Dwarf, they enabled him. Whenever they'd have people on that drink, like Jeff the Drunk giving him booze, they're enabling him. They enable everybody as much as they can. And like, where's the culpability? Like, do you blame? I don't blame Howard for Dana Plato's death, but don't think for a minute he shouldn't feel some kind of. You should at least feel a little sympathetic. And the day after that, covering their ass, that whole audio, that was the really gross part, even more so than her interview.
Yes. That you're exactly right. And that's the issue. And see, the thing is too, with enabling, it's like Artie's family, for example, I get their side of it because they love him,
and Eddie's blood.
Exactly. So it's a little bit different when you switch it over to Howard and the show and how they exploit. To me, it's not enabling so much as it is exploiting.
Oh, yes. I'm being kind when I say enabling.
Sure. Yeah. Because they're doing it for the benefit of the show. They're giving, they're basically handing over, here's some, alcohol to this man who's got problems or whatever. Yeah. Just so that he'll do a show, like put on a show for entertainment. And that is the part that just is, ugh.
Yeah. Ugh. And making excuses. Or in the case of Artie, like they didn't give him heroin, obviously, but they let him sleep on the air. They would decide to film him instead of having the human decency to say, this isn't acceptable and you got to fire him. Now, Carrie and I covered part of that on a wrap up. No, it was me and Deborah. My mistake. Deborah and I covered a wrap up show where the caller just completely owned Gary and it turned him inside out and said, he's not ready for the fucking job and you guys, nothing's happening and you guys are making light of it. And when he dies, this show is going to be responsible for it, more or less. And what are you guys doing about it? And Gary, who wouldn't say, he wouldn't say, look, my hands are tied. I've gone to Howard 1,000 times. If he did say it, I've gone to him and he didn't want to put it off on Howard. He decided to play like, well, he comes to work. He takes Howard's line and bullshit and no one buys it. No one buys it.
Exactly. And, I get that this is a quote comedy show and I get that it's not going to be, the after school special type vibe or whatever. And I get that they have to make fun of it to a certain point and that's fine. Right. But there's also a line that already crossed over from, okay, this is kind of funny to, oh my God, he's in serious trouble. And that's where I have the issue. Even if they didn't discuss it on air, there should have been something going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. They should have just let him go. Like they should have said, you can't come back until you're 100% clean, or at least to the point where we don't see any effects. Like if you're going to die one day overdosing like Belushi, but you know your lines and you're not late on the set and you look like you're supposed to look for filming, then it's your business. But if we know for a fact, like we can't drug test you, but if you're responsible enough, the problem is at that point he wasn't even being responsible and they kept him longer than they should have. I would have dumped him probably in 2008. I would have let him go because he was getting really, really like all those attacks against Teddy. Never mind if everybody wanted to punch Teddy in the face. You don't do it. You want to do it, but you don't do it.
Exactly, because it switched from he's funny out of control, the funny drunk guy with the lampshade on his head, and then it turned. It was a 180 to anger, rage.
It was dark.
It was, yeah.
And then against Sal, where that one just went to, I mean, that was, again, like AJ Benza went after John and got fired, which for whatever reason, he didn't actually hit him. He hit Gary. It looks like we got the worst of it. So, I mean, this is the show. And again, my biggest problem is that no one's ever really held their feet to the fire in terms of culpability, except for Norm Macdonald, Chris Rock to some extent, but mostly Norm. And then Norm walked it back a little. I wish he hadn't with regard to Artie. I wish he would have really just kept on and said, yeah, you guys are to blame for some of this. Don't think your hands are clean. So anyway, here's more of the Richard Jenny, the macabre Richard Jenny, Jason Joy segment.
The message was from a Mrs. Smith, on behalf of Richard Jenny. So I call back and a guy answers the phone and I goes, Mrs. Smith there? And he goes, no. And I go, what's this, Jason from the Howard Stern Show? Can I leave a message? He goes, from the Stern Show? And I go, yeah. He goes, it's Richard. This is Richard Jenny. So then I go, oh, well, I'm sorry to say we're passing on you for now. We're overbooked, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, wow, Howard's just done with me, isn't he? It's over, right? And I go, no, it's just, we love you, but we're just, we're full. And then a day later, he shot himself.
And the humor you find in this is... Mrs. Smith was a character.
As the years have gone on, I found the humor in this situation.
See, that to me.
Okay, a little bit more, guys.
Because more of the weird thing, like remember in the movie The Big Chill, and they go, the guy dies at the beginning, kills him at the beginning of the movie. And they're in the car and they go, oh, he called me, I never called him back. And the guy goes, oh, I'm sure that's why he killed himself.
Right.
Everybody who had any contact with that person for a week before is sure they're the catalyst for what happened.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, suicide is very serious, and people shouldn't, seek help if you're depressed.
If you missed it, here's how.
Responsibly.
Here's how.
What a fucking piece of shit.
God, he's a fucking asshole. And I'm even more mad that I'm siding with Jan Hine. I'm agreeing with Jan. That's what Jason has done to me.
I forgot who I'm doing this recording with. The Jan Hine, scout leader of hatred. I mean, like he and I've never. I think we've discussed this a little bit, but what is your main beef with him specifically? Because he's so inoffensive, in my opinion. Like, he's got a horrible attitude. He's boring. He looks like the information that you get out of him is about he's as bland as the burgers he eats.
He is, but he's so smug.
Okay.
He is just so smug, sitting there with his nothingness and his boringness and his plain hamburgers.
His Pirates jersey.
Ugh. And he's so deep down he's angry, is what I think it is, and it comes out. Yes, I think he's angry.
What do you mean? What do you mean by angry, though? I mean, at what? At who?
I don't know. That's the whole thing. It's like you have this nice looking wife, you have a decent job, you've made money in these weird ways, and apparently jumped the shark and didn't, pay his roommate or whatever. But he just sits there so smugly, like he's better than everyone else.
Okay, list of most punchable faces on the show. Ross, Ralph. We got to take Howard and Robin out of the mix.
Yeah.
Ralph, Bowie, Stuttering John, Ross, Jason. Who tops the list? Jason?
Yes.
Really? Even more than Ross?
Yeah.
And you've seen the Ross Coke scream face?
No, I haven't seen that. Maybe that would change my mind.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can turn it up here, because I was searching for him and I got a good clip. Ross Zapin. Now, if you go to image search and this comes up.
God. No. Oh, no. Ew.
Yeah, this is another one.
Oh, no. All right, I changed my mind. What do you want to bet he drove a Z28 in the 80s?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. All right. Trans Am, maybe. What a jerk off. Well, we're going to go a little bit into this because this is the clip, guys. I looked it up. It says here, this was a clip from, a report from 2003, February 14th, Friday. Why did I read that in reverse? I don't know. Zapin becomes the expanding man at DreamWorks Records. And this piece is nothing but Stern references. So he was a Stern sycophant from day one, and they crowbar Stern references in here really quick, like for whatever reason. And this is from the website's called hitsdailydouble.com, and it's a radio it's a radio website that's still up. So it says, Zapin, just don't call him Elephant Boy. Ross, the boss, that's the quotation, has been tapped to oversee the combined rock and modern rock promotion departments at DreamWorks Records while continuing to look after the label's video promotion activities. So he was always in PR. Promotion for whatever, and like in 2003 the record companies were hemorrhaging money. I mean, downloading was just picking up steam like no one's business. And I'm happy to say, yes, I helped
I did too.
LimeWire and Audio Galaxy. Yep. Fuck you, I was all over that.
I had that first one, I can't think of the name, that Metallica hated.
Oh, Napster.
Yeah, Napster.
Oh yeah, eDonkey. There were shitloads of them, and my God, if you think we didn't use them, I remember the mini disc days where you could compress stuff 5 hours onto a mini disc, and I was recording in real time through the computer speakers. It was nuts. Anyway, it says here, as part of his duties, he is now required to pick up the check if he invites Howard Stern to dinner for his birthday, and so you listen to this shit. He's almost as articulate as Beetlejuice in pitching records to radio and TV. And there's shitloads of crowbar references here. It says the New York-based Zapin will maintain his role as DreamWorks' chief liaison to the MTV networks and other major video units, insisting that VJ Martha Quinn always takes his calls. Zapin sounds like a star fucker. Zapin formerly spearheaded the company's modern rock promotion efforts in addition to his video promotion duties. So it says here he starts name-dropping people in the industry. I'm looking forward to our major success with our artists in 2003. Now, can I get a Baba Booey? And then it says, this is a little more background information. Zapin began his career in the music industry as promotion director for New York rock station WAPP, now Hot 97. He then segged into concert promotion, joining the staff of Ron Delsner Enterprises, famous promoter in New York. He joined Geffen Records in 1990 as New York regional promotion manager. In 1995, he was elevated to East Coast modern rock promotion director. Zapin became head of modern rock promotion in 98, at which point he relocated to Los Angeles, and I'm sure got developed a raging coke habit somewhere in between. Among the artists he's worked with while at Geffen were Nirvana, Beck, and Counting Crows. He came to DreamWorks in 1999 as head of modern rock and video promotion. Added Zapin, hey, at least I've lasted longer than Jackie the Joke Man. Now, if that doesn't sound like somebody who was desperate to get on the Stern Show, I don't know who does.
Yeah. Oh, gross. Gross.
Bowie's good friends with him. Why? Because Bowie can get free fucking tickets from him in exchange for the connection. He's connected to Stern. They totally parlayed that into what you do for me, I'll do for you.
Absolutely. They're very similar in different ways, in my opinion. Yeah.
They're different. They're different fabric of scumbag.
Let's see, hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. So here's the deal. Ross is a guy. By the way, I never hired Ross here. Ross got his job on his own.
He was working here before we got here.
Yeah, exactly. But
so he made the jump to Sirius when, the DreamWorks went belly up and was eaten up by, I don't know who it was. And because DreamWorks they had a movie company for a while there. They made that huge splash and then a couple hits, but nothing really major. And then, of course, the industry just went tits up. So he was scrambling for a gig and probably went for less money at Sirius.
I bet he did. Now, what was his role? What was his job when he came over?
PR, just PR okay. For Sirius and then Sirius XM, of course. And I don't think he's ever come across great on the show ever. Certainly not likable, and you just hear more of it here, guys. It's like if you're hoping for a clip to change your mind about Ross, you're not going to get it here. So here we go.
People seem to think I hired him as I was listening to the lunacy of the wrap-up show yesterday. But anyway, Ross is a friend of mine, and Ross, to refresh your memory, Tim was in a meeting with Ross. Tim Sabian, our program director, during the meeting, snuck behind Ross, took a picture of his bald spot on his head, and then issued out an email that said, hey, look, Ross is going bald. Ross is going bald was the subject in the email.
This is a little, and keep in mind, guys, this is about closing in on summer 2010. I don't know if it's actually Shitgate, but it might have been something like Shitgate. But it's not the one that because Shitgate was a year later or 2 years later, actually, into when Tim left. But why is Tim? This is a really kind of seems kind of mean. Not, that's mean for Tim, not mean for the show.
You're
why
right.
is Tim doing this? Unless he really hates Ross.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Any theories?
Either he really just hates Ross and he was like, I'm gonna stick it to him, jab. Either that or Tim was like, let me try to get in on the fun too. Let me try to get in on this silliness that was happening.
Mix it up. Well, that's I think more along the lines of, both actually, because in 2010 there was a dearth of content because there was no Artie. So they were missing literally more than a third, more like half of the show was gone when Artie left. And that's not to talk about his weight. And so any zany stuff, they were clearly missing stuff for, they did need a bit of, it seemed like fights were the only thing that were interesting left about the show.
That's true. And you're right, because it seems like there was just a lot of filler.
Yeah.
And they were kind of scrambling. I feel like, too, and this is so gross, there was a lot of bathroom antics during that time.
Oh, I mean, there were plenty before, too, but not to the point of, it seemed more guest heavy and more personality heavy. And then all of a sudden, Artie's drugs heavy, and then Artie's out, and then we'll just wrap up show coverage about Artie nonstop, and then he's gone, and all of a sudden, dead air. Like,
yes,
American Idol. And that's always been there. That was always a mainstay. Eric the Midget. All of a sudden, Eric the Midget got like 20 more minutes a day when he would call. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah, they had to fill time.
Yes. And I don't think he quite understood that how valuable Artie was. Or maybe he did, and he decided, hubris, I don't need him. I started this without him, and I'm going to push on ahead without him, and it'll be fine. Not realizing it hasn't been fine for a long time, and you're the reason for a lot of that.
I pointed out on the air that I thought that was inappropriate. I didn't think it was right.
Too close to home, asshole.
It's in a meeting.
It's a meeting. Tim's not. Listen. It's not. I don't know what Tim doesn't have to do shtick. Tim's defense, he said, hey, why is everyone getting so serious all of a sudden? I have to create a fun atmosphere for people to work in.
Yeah, it was so much fun for Ross.
I said, yeah, well, that's what I said to Tim. I said, Tim, I don't know that was fun for Ross, that you're sitting there and doing that. And plus, people kind of don't expect that of you when they're in a meeting, in a business meeting.
He can't wait to get to another meeting. That was so much fun.
Tom Chia was our general manager for years, I said to him, and there was a lot of crazy stuff going on the radio, but he was like the voice of reason.
Right.
Oh, come on, I'm trying to create a fun environment. I said, well, you're doing it at Ross's expense. That's all. It wasn't.
The only reason I brought it up was because Tim was always seemed to be the guy that was just putting stuff together, and you never heard from him, and you certainly never heard him kind of pull pranks or cause shit in that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he might have been on the air for them to make fun of and his sayings and stuff, but not really. You know what I mean? He wasn't a personality.
No, he wasn't. And if anything, that's why he was a personality, because he wasn't like you know what I mean? Like he just stood there and he was like the guy that was, all right, everybody, let's get along. And,
he was the hall monitor.
Come on, guys. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And this to me comes off like as a dad joke. Like he's trying to be funny. It kind of wasn't. It's a little corny. But he was trying.
Dad jeans.
Yes, and New Balance tennis shoes.
One of my favorite Artie quotes, I'll never forget it. It was on the wrap-up show. One of the most amazing stories Artie said, it was just a one-liner about Tim. There was one wrap-up show where they decided they're going to change the stupid intro. It wasn't going to be the Black Crows on a loop, Remedy all the time. It was going to be something else. So it was like a hip-hop thing. And then Artie comes in and they go, what the fuck intro was that? And then someone said, is that Tim Sabian? Yeah, Tim Sabian did that. He goes, well, we wanted to change the image of the wrap-up show. We think it's pretty good. And Artie goes, yeah, if your image is a shithead. And then he goes, yeah, because Tim said wrap-up show, so he decided rap, R-A-P. He literally put that together. And Artie goes, yeah, because if you want a new intro for your show, if you want a hip-hop intro for the show, it needs to come from a 58-year-old guy from Minneapolis. A 58-year-old white guy from Minneapolis. I wish I could play it. At any rate, let's continue, guys, because the good stuff is yet to come.
A big deal to the discussion between Tim and myself. But I said, listen, I don't know if that's setting a fun environment.
Yeah, you've never fucked on people in the studio.
I mean, with all the talk about bullying that goes on in the media today,
the two biggest
Tim should really think about what he did.
Well, anyway, so that led to one thing and another thing, and then Tim and Ross got into it, and then somehow Ross ended up on the wrap-up show, and Jason started yelling at Ross that I think that he was a crybaby or something.
Hey, Howard, it'll be explained in the first clip, but Ross was upset because Jason tweeted something on his personal tweet about it that he didn't agree with.
Right.
I don't have that, guys. So sorry, you're gonna have to. It's probably just a continuation of the whole Ross's bald shit. So,
okay, here we go.
Yes. But when you went to your personal
Ross.
Twitter feed and wrote what you wrote yesterday, why?
Well, tell him what did he write?
Because it was ball busting. I fucking love ball busting. Had nothing to do with you personally.
Do you want me to start ball busting you?
Yes, go crazy with the ball.
You know what? I said this to Gary earlier. I care about the little people. I don't mean the little people, but I know where I came from, and I was really.
There's no little people in that room, Ross. I wouldn't worry about it. But so, who do you want? Like in this situation, you're looking at these two faces. Don't you have? Isn't this like a Sophie's Choice? Who do you punch first?
Yeah, but I tell you, it's that guy. It's Ross.
It is Ross, isn't it?
He immediately, he's like, ooh.
Doesn't he look like every fucking beefhead in high school you ever met?
Every single one. He is the stereotype. He really is.
Yeah, he is. Like a lumbering jock with, the worst jokes, the worst sense of anything. Like the kind of guy that would go to a funeral and start drinking at a funeral, just because he wanted to make it about him, topple over the coffin, that kind of shit. Anyway, he's a PR guy. The thing is, I don't understand. He's a PR guy for Sirius, but he seems to have a relationship with the show. Why?
Right. Why?
It's the connection is Bowie. Like he's good friends with Bowie. And I always said, my cousin always said, friends of assholes are also assholes, guys. And Richie Wilson in our interview said he was one of the first people to say Howard hangs out with guys like Ross, who's an asshole. And these are people that are just users. And he has that feel to him, Ross. He doesn't have that leechy feel to him.
Does. He's a moocher. He's always that guy that worms his way into the cool party. Like, how did you even get here? Who invited you? Did you sneak in? So, right. Like, why are you here? He worms his way in. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm trying to get to. What is he giving? What's he supplying?
Yeah, because he doesn't have he would party with these guys. He would go to scores and he would hang out with Howard, but he sounded like he was just as much of Gary as Gary of a starfucker. Like, how can I get to Howard? And I think that was his whole mandate. Let me get closer and closer to Howard somehow. And he was the reason Bowie could get free Springsteen tickets, this, that, and the other thing. They would come up with promo swag. Once Bowie was able to get that was the connection. Like, all of a sudden we were tied at the hip because I love music. Yeah. You love Howard. Let's do each other favors.
You're exactly right.
I figured that had to be it. And then if also he could help Howard out with that shit, even though Howard's got the money, he doesn't need help getting fucking tickets. But if he wanted an in with guests, that's another reason he could be valuable to the show.
Right. It's like Ross is one of those guys that knows everybody.
Right.
But like how? How does he know everybody? So he's good at something because he's that he's that little connection guy that, hey, everybody, my people will call your people, but like he somehow actually makes it happen. And so, yeah, absolutely. They're just feeding off each other.
Yeah, like an industry scumbag, basically, like just a vermin, just a hanger on that decides, okay, I'm gonna, and those days promo was. I mean, Coke and promo was the same thing. You go to a radio station, used to give a crate of fucking CDs and say, what can I get for this? I want 40 more rotations on this single. I want, I want a blowjob. I want something, you know what I mean? I talked about this a little bit on in a solo episode I've cut for just a freebie that I'm going to throw out sometime this week, that James T. He provided a little deep dive into the Private Parts soundtrack and the bullshit involved. So I thought I would just read his information for you guys. And I talk about a little in there. And so promo is a skeevy fucking business. And so it doesn't surprise me that a cockroach like Ross is involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's what Gary would be doing if he wasn't working for the show, if he could.
Yeah. Would he?
Well, Bowie was trying to get onto MTV. You remember that audition? God, we should go through that. That was classic. He wanted to be involved in music at least. He wanted to be in some kind of schmooze position, always.
Yeah, you're right. It is the schmoozing because I always see Gary as a taker.
Yes.
And so I can't imagine him actually doing things for people, but you're right on the schmoozing. That's what he would do well.
That's right. And and he won't take. He'll only take if he can get.
Right.
Like if there's nothing coming his way, he's not going to be altruistic and do anything for anybody. I don't believe. And Ross is probably the same way. You give me or you're not getting. That's it. I'll hold this shit over your head. Yep. So Jason's had it with Ross, and he'll explain at the end of this as well why this all came about.
A friend of yours and a friend of Will's, and I bust his balls about the Philadelphia Phillies. But when Yankee Stadium opened, I took you along for a tour. I've always helped you out with tickets.
I said
you wanted some dressing advice, so you came to me and said, "Hey, look, I don't want to look like a schlump anymore." Hold on a second. Wait. What am I making up?
You're making it for tour. I set up that tour. Greg Bonini, he wrote to both of us, and you didn't want to do it.
So he just called out Ross for bullshitting. So this is another thing he has in common with Gary already. You're completely lying about something to make yourself to self-aggrandize.
Yeah.
And bringing up a non-issue. And Jason, hate him or like him or hate him, that sounded like he just backed him. He just backed Jason up for us.
He did. He absolutely did. Because I'm like, what did he even say that was so horrible? It could not have been that bad. And
well, it
you're
gets
right.
worse. I mean, he basically threatens Jason he wants to fight him. He wants him to come outside, you can hear it as this progresses.
And all over some tweet that probably was just BS, goofing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I don't know. I only know a few people that are as, well, not quite, but sensitive about their hair loss, because they think if their hair goes, they got nothing. And I hate to tell them, they're like, well, you don't have much hair, so I wouldn't call that something. And, it's better to just, when it's going, it goes. Get rid of it, I've never understood that.
I get it. Right. Look, as a woman, I don't have that issue, but I have wrinkles and I, things are happening here as I get older. But is with the baldness, I feel like it's in style. Like it's a look now.
It's certainly more prevalent now than it would have been, let's say, 25 years ago.
Yeah,
I guess there should not such a stigma involved anymore because Christ, I mean, almost everybody you can think of, like after Vin Diesel became the sort of new Kojak, the new Telly Savalas for his generation, and then just more
Jason
like MMA.
Statham.
Yeah, absolutely. MMA fighters, they're mostly all bald, right? A lot of them, the Georges St. Pierre, a lot of famous guys now sport the bald. The Rock.
Heck yeah.
Sometimes he has hair, sometimes he doesn't, and he makes it work. Now, mind you, most of us don't have the body of The Rock, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway,
Hey, so fuck off. Second of all, first of all, let's explain what the tweet was. Yesterday, I'm listening to the wrap-up show in the back office, and Tim's leaving and power played the clip this morning. And as Tim was walking out, he shouts out that he's going to go Photoshop hair on Ross's picture. Right. Now, to me, that was just such a fucking classic moment. Like, here you are, two guys, they're arguing with each other. Tim's way off mic, and he just shouts that out, and I busted out laughing. And I've been putting ball busting notes up on Twitter all week. So I go, ball buster Tim Sabian. I put the quote up. I go, my new hero. That had nothing to do with Ross.
What do you mean it has nothing to do with me?
Okay, I'm going to let this play through a little more, guys.
Just a joke with the ball busting. I put notes up about the wrap-up show almost every day on my personal feed.
Let's go back. But I cared about you as a friend.
What fashion advice?
And I've helped you out.
Clearly great fashion advice.
No, clearly you just put on too many pounds so you can't fit into anything else.
Oh, Baldy, come on.
So I'm done. I'm going to be your coworker. We have to coexist.
Fine, Ross, stop being my friend. See, this is what I'm talking about. Tim was wrong. But look how sensitive Ross is. I sent out a fucking tweet about the wrap-up show yesterday, and now this is a statement on our friendship, and he's not going to be my friend anymore, and he used to treat me good, but he won't treat me good. You are the most sensitive motherfucker on the planet. Okay.
Now, this is two sensitive assholes arguing with each other. But Jason, to his credit, he's fast. He's quick.
He is, isn't he?
Right.
He comes right back. He doesn't.
And Ross, you can hear Ross coming at him with the speed of like an 18-wheeler with everything he's coming at him. You know what I mean?
Yep. And he's coming at him with these typical, because I can't think of anything else to say. Yeah. He's gained weight. Your clothes don't fit. Ooh, good one. Right. Ooh, good one.
Right. Did you get that from the SNL writers' room? Like was that from the 1001 jokes for any occasion shit? Well, yeah. And the thing is, Jason's going after him hard now because the first thing is Jason is fearless in the compound, and maybe that Lexapro, what it's really doing is removing the sense of indecisiveness, shall we say, or perhaps like when people get certain people, when they get the Alzheimer's patients, a lot of them lose the sensor in their mind. So literally they might say, look at that fat piece of shit over there, while the fat piece of shit is in earshot.
Hey. Right.
My friend's mother, she was getting older. They would have house guests, and he said she was never diagnosed with it, but she might have had the onset of it, because she would say to people literally, like they'd be there 5 minutes and she'd say, okay, it's time for you to leave now. Just like that. Like no subtlety whatsoever. No. So I wonder if it, how it affected him. Either way, do you get the sense no one wants to back Ross up at all?
Yes.
That they all feel like Jason, but they don't want to say it?
Mm-hmm. Because you can look at Jan in the background and he's looking over at Jason while Jason speaks, and he's kind of got a little smile like, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Because I wonder, Ross just has to be that personality that he comes in like kind of a little silent bully with his attitude and his aura about him, kind of pushing people around a little bit and out of the way. And so, I can imagine that they're 100% sitting there going, get him, Jason, get him. And Jason's doing good. Like he's smart.
And it gets worse for Ross. Like Ross ends up really doing the most damage to himself if you guys follow along.
So goodbye.
You're right.
Right. You're out of my life.
But
right, that what you want?
But we're not ignoring the fact that what I said was I thought you were wrong.
Okay, and I disagree with you.
Well, it got more heated. See, now it turned into a second argument because Jason tweeted, "Hey, Tim's my hero."
Well, it's
okay, and I edited most of this crap out of there, guys. So bear with me if you see any judicious sort of little transitions. They're meant to be that way, so just bear with us.
Tim now seeing that this isn't creating fun in the workplace.
There isn't a lot of fun.
Now, does this mean our friendship is over?
I don't think there is a friendship.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you see it that way.
You don't see it that way.
No.
You think everything is fine. You don't think the way you conduct yourself in the office that you think that you're a Gary Jr.
What?
I love that comment because I don't know if it's meant to be insulting because he's supposed to be friends with Gary.
I know. Like, I guess he's trying to say you're too full of yourself and you
status-wise.
Right.
Like, you're not Gary. I'll take that from Gary, but not from you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the way I heard it as well.
I think so, yeah.
But if you look at the roots of it, Jason really is trying to he wants to undermine Gary, like at let's say, for example, the Pelican brief, the summit meeting. One of the last things there is Jason, up until that meeting, Jason gets called in and said, look at Jason, how he's dressing. Like, Gary, why can't you wear that stuff? Why can't you dress like that? Jason's more than happy to show up the boss. And if the boss in this case happens to be Gary, and he has the confidence of being Gary without being him. Gary doesn't have the confidence Jason has, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And so, and the other thing is the other Gary aspect is Gary is a noted, like, underhanded shithead who will tell stories about someone when they're not there. Like, there's one clip, I'll play it for you. He goes in thinking Artie is out of the room. Artie was just kind of under the desk. And then he's telling a story about Artie, and then Artie's face like appears, and suddenly he's lost. And Artie nailed him. Would you actually like to hear that?
Yes.
Real quick?
Yeah,
okay,
I do.
Okay, let me dig it out. Okay, guys, I was looking for the clip and I found it. So here's the Weasel tries to fuck Gary, and this is from November 11th, 2002.
Funniest damn thing happened during the commercials.
What?
Gary comes to me and goes, okay, listen, I got to talk to you because Artie's out of the room. He goes, Artie's, he starts telling me something. Artie was in the room.
Artie stood up.
No, Artie was sitting right there. Gary was looking at him.
I had my head down looking at the newspaper.
So Gary goes, oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. I go, Gary, it was so goddamn embarrassing. And I made a face, and Gary's like, oh, come on, like, you've never done that? I go, no, I don't. I look. I look.
Okay, so Gary comes in and he tries to like, I don't know, make amends somehow.
Looked over. I really did look over. He had his head all the way down.
What did he say?
It was not that big a deal. But
no,
it's not bad. It could have been bad, but it wasn't. But you have a way.
You're funny, though.
No, but you're funny.
No, because you don't want to admit you did a Baba Booey.
There's no doubt, but you have a way of just going out of your way to make people feel worse about it when the mic isn't on.
Dude,
what?
I was embarrassed. That's all.
Robert, can I show you the face?
Yeah, sure.
He goes like this. He goes,
That was bad. And John was like,
you seen that face, Robert? You seen that face?
Yeah. It was so bad. I was like,
so even if it wasn't anything, according to him, he just says it could have been. That means he does it routinely and regularly. So he's just as bad as Stuttering John.
And it could have been, had he not got interrupted. He could have kept going on, and then it would have got bad.
Sure. And this was not even like, I don't know, barely a year into Artie's tenure there. So you can imagine Artie later on being more than a little fucking peeved to find out that this weasel is going with him to the craft party, like tailgating the craft party, and then getting paid at the craft party for doing nothing, and then going to Afghanistan when he doesn't want him there. Another Artie line. I was happy Dave Attell and Nick DiPaolo had a few less time to do more jokes.
Think that.
So now Ross is attacking Jason on some level. I don't know why he needed to do that, but it's just getting out of control.
But the way you conduct yourself in the office, how many times do I see you yelling at people, screaming at people, getting in fights with other salespeople in our meetings, getting in fights with Gary, slamming the door shut, going on Twitter, oh, Howard won't let me in the bathroom. How fucking professional is that?
Okay, now Jason might be a weasel, but do you disbelieve him in any of that? Like him talking about him, Ross being a loud, obnoxious fucking shit heel?
No, I think Jason's an instigator and he's an asshole, but I don't think he's a liar.
Yeah, not about this.
No.
And maybe not about most things. Maybe, he might embellish a little, but is it a lie? Is it an out and out bullshit to make Ross look like crap? I don't think so.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I didn't go.
You want to talk about your conduct?
Hold on.
Yeah, right. You went to Howard's house and complained about it.
First off, I didn't go on Twitter about it. Second off,
can
I finish? You made a statement. I'm going to finish it. So when I raise my voice in a meeting with a salesperson, it's to discuss something. It's not yelling at them. It's about talking about what?
No, it's not. I've seen you get in fights with this sales guy, Sam.
Do you know what I do?
Do you know what I do?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, then I know what you do.
I know you.
I've seen sandbox fights that were more mature than this.
Yeah. So childish.
Just.
I'm like,
you know what I do? What do you do? I know you are, but what am I?
That's exactly what that was. And I know what you do. You know what I do? I know what you do. I know you know that I know that you know that I know.
Shit. TT stamp and no races.
Produce the show. I know you work on the show. You work on the bits. I know everything you do, and you do a good job of it.
Thank you.
So I asked you, do you know what I do?
Yes.
What do I do?
You're the promotions guy. You're the.
What do I do? That's my title. What do I do?
What do you do?
Yes.
You're the Well, you're saying that I do producing. I'm saying you do promotions. Yeah. I mean, that's what you said. You produce stuff. You take pictures.
So my point is, what I'm saying to you is, you just accused me of yelling and screaming and doing things when I said to you, you're a Gary Jr. So I'm explaining to you why I act a certain way, and I don't yell and scream.
Yes, you do. And I don't see anyone else here yelling and screaming like you do. So if you're gonna call my professionalism into question, I will call yours.
Is Gary Jr. an insult or a compliment?
Yeah, I was gonna. So Benji hits the nail on that.
There you go.
Well, like we said, it could be either way. Like he wants to elevate himself, or he wants to be a fucking backstabbing piece of shit. And like I said, it helps the show. These at this point, fights were the only thing I had to look forward to after Artie left. Yeah.
What's a Gary Jr.?
Man, I'll take Gary Jr., by the way. I don't know why people say, you want to be Gary. Of course I want to be Gary. Gary's a successful radio producer for 25 years on the greatest radio show ever.
Gary's been doing this for 25 years?
Maybe longer.
28.
I've been doing it for 10.
Okay. So when you get another 18 years under
How many years have you worked in radio?
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about what I observed about you. Okay.
So you observed that I try and emulate my boss's
behavior.
behavior.
That sometimes you flex a little more than you should.
Okay. You hit the nail right on the head. And you hadn't seen this. I mean, you might have seen it originally like ages ago. Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, ages ago, but not recent.
Okay, so you didn't. So you that was it. Like basically, you're coming off like you're Gary, but you're not. And I'll take that from someone. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Well done. Well, either great recall or just fucking brilliant commentary. Yeah, that's it. Acumen.
Some of the power you have, and I don't think you've earned it yet.
See, this is what happens. This is what they teach you when you argue with your wife. You can't go off onto other topics.
Right. Got to stay on topic.
The original topic was whether Tim was wrong in tweeting or whatever, sending out an email of Ross's bald spot. And now Ross attacked Jason as Gary Jr. For some reason, that was a bad thing. And now Jason's attacking Ross. It's great. It's out of control. Where's this all at, by the way? It's a good argument, though, isn't it? It's a good wrap-up show.
It was really bad. I think you're going to play a clip in a minute. There's like a long period of silence.
Yeah.
And it was Ross, like the veins on his neck were coming out.
This is who you want as a promotions director. Get this fucking radio or I'll kill you.
Do you know what I do? Do you know what I do?
The weight of this axe is dragging me down. Jesus Christ.
And I think Ross was going to jump across the console. I think he really wanted to kill Jason. That's how bad it got. But I got to say, the funny thing is, Jason didn't even say Tim was his hero for taking the picture. He disagreed with that. Tim made things worse because on the wrap-up show, he said to Ross, I got to go now. I got to go Photoshop hair onto your picture. And Jason said, that's a funny line.
Right.
And that's what got Ross upset.
So, again, like really just a thin-skinned Ross in a group of thin-skinned assholes. Mm-hmm. Yet, let's be honest, if you were to work in that environment, wouldn't you have to learn to just be extremely thick-skinned?
Yes, it's a requirement there. And he knows that.
Of course.
He knows how it works. Everyone gets their balls busted. Everyone gets picked on. Everybody, makes jokes about each other. That's the show.
One of my favorite sort of, I wouldn't call it deflections. I guess it is a deflection. First year of Sirius, Yanni, the composer, comes on. I think I mentioned this ages ago on the show. And I know what people think. Yanni, that guy looks like a complete bustos. He goes, he plays that new age music. I like some of his music, actually, the early stuff. And he goes on about what happened between you and Linda Evans. Howard just decides to go into this thing that they're not even together, but that's what he's focused on because that was one of Yanni's big breaks, getting with Crystal Carrington from friggin' was it Dynasty, but they'd not been an item anymore at that point. And he said, and then Yanni just kind of looks at it. Well, she was a great woman and, didn't work out. What am I going to say? He said, well, what happened? And he goes, what happened with your wife? And Howard kind of went like, and went another direction.
I bet he did.
Like that. And this is a guy's, like, English is second language. And he was able to shut this asshole down just real quick. Because if there's anything we know about Wiggy, if you know the topics, you know his weak spots. Even if you don't, instinctively you can find them and shut him right the fuck down. Tell me about your daughters. What grandchild? What wife?
They're fine. This is about you. Let's talk about you.
Let's talk about you.
How many times does Gary have to tell you no to something before you'll get the fucking picture to stay out of his fucking office?
So now we're going to the way I asked to do things, and if I hear no,
yes, you're very unprofessional. No, you can fight for your cause. You go in there, you slam door, you're screaming on the top of your lungs. I mean, you want to talk professionalism? Let's talk professionalism.
Jason,
I don't think you're very professional.
I'd have a little more respect for this conversation if you knew what I did and knew what went on.
Okay, so
why the question was asked. If you're there for every step of the way and understand what the pressures or what the desires and what the needs are of why I'm bringing that subject matter to Gary, I would have more respect for you to talk to me and say why I slammed it or why I did.
Ross's bullshit is so heavy the mic can't stay up.
No, I'm sitting here going, what is he even talking about? What is he saying right now?
It's word salad.
Yeah. It like sense.
If you had an inkling, if you had one iota of awareness, what I bring to the table with this organization and the importance of what I do here, you would never make these, accusations. It sounds like some really shitty 1970s, tough guy, bullshit business guy, like dialogue.
Exactly what it is.
Do you know how I bled for this company?
Oh, gross. And he keeps going. Do you know what I do? I keep waiting for him. What do you do? Tell me what you do.
Well, the other thing is he really that important that he needs to be given this form and that he needs to be going after him? But just literally take Jason aside and say, look, I'm sensitive about that. Don't bring it up on the air. That's it.
Right.
And a rational person would handle that. But I guarantee 100% that Ross is the kind of guy that would just punch you for the fuck of it. Drunk, sober, whatever. And and just hope he didn't run into somebody big enough to take him out.
Mm-hmm. He's a classic bully, is what he is. Classic.
Oh, yeah. And what's happening is this: he expects Jason's just going to fold like a lawn chair in the onslaught of look at this bigger guy, he's in shape, whatever. He's aggressive and he's going to be like belligerent and all stuff and bellicose, and you're going to go, I've never dealt with this. Most people just run in fear or cower or say, oh Jesus, yeah, my bad. But Jason's not doing that, so kudos to him for that at least.
Right, exactly. And Ross, that's why I think he can't collect his thoughts because he's just used to, brawling his way through and not really having to really argue. And Jason's quick and he's sharp and he's coming right back at him.
That's
and
right.
Ross is like freezing almost.
Right.
And
one is analytical. The other one couldn't spell analytical if you put a gun to his head. So, and I'll let you guys decide who I'm talking about here.
You want to hear no.
And if you do everything I did and the pressures and the responsibilities that we have on the Stern angle of it, and then when you come in there like a mental patient and goes, oh, we need to mix in secret words. We need to mix in secret words into the show for advertisers. And it's just like Gary says no to it, I don't know, every day for 4 years. I mean, when are you going to give it
now
up?
You're going way off the reservation. Now you're going to
what reservation?
What does that expression even mean?
I mean, run it up the flagpole and let's see. Like it's one like I don't know.
You're going off the reservation.
What? I'm just like thinking of every business, synergy.
Cliche.
Right. Yeah. Every business cliche. I'm like, I don't know.
Saint Ignatius used to say, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. Gandhi used to say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. I mean, like it's that self-importance. That's what's coming out of Ross's mouth right now. I'm important. Mm-hmm. I'm more important than you. You're supposed to know when to shut the fuck up. Why aren't you doing that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yep.
But now you're bringing up.
I'm calling you unprofessional. That's the reservation.
Hold on. No. Now you're saying when I come into Gary with an ad sales, when a client wanted something.
Right. And you don't take no for an answer. And that's fine. Maybe that's you doing your job. I don't think it's very professional. I don't see anyone else acting like that around here.
Are you making fun, or are you criticizing me for coming in and bringing up something that made no sense to you?
No, I'm criticizing you for not taking no for an answer and bringing it up every week for 3 years.
Okay. I don't know if you know Sales 101, but you don't take no for an answer.
Well, then you're demeanor about it. It's very unprofessional.
Do you book guests?
Well, sometimes you have to take no for an answer, Ross, and admit defeat when you're defeated. Sorry, buddy. If you're on the field and it's 100-0, chances are that extra touchdown you think you're going to get, which you're not, is not going to help you.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you want to use analogies. Jesus fucking Christ. There's an announcer somewhere out there when it's 18-0, time is becoming a factor. I'm just flabbergasted. But that used car salesman, that's the vibe I'm getting.
That's exactly what it is. That's
bullshit
exactly
sales
what it is.
pitch, bullshit like lingo.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the needs and desires of the company. You don't understand that. Okay, thank you, Spock. What's this? Thank you, Aristotle.
Right, because he doesn't really know anything. He's just spitting out words that he's read or heard in his sales training, his sales 101 training, workshop that he went to. And he's just spitting it out. There's no meaning behind it. And all these words are coming out, but they don't mean anything. And he can't understand. He's so confused why Jason won't just concede. Why is this? Why is he still going?
I'm already picturing this set list, how to become a salesman, seminar he attended. If you want to get into this business, you have to know how to sell. S-E-L, sell.
Yes.
Okay. When you want your big guest for Geek Time and someone says no to you the first time, do you ever ask again?
Well, I don't threaten them like you do.
Well, now I'm threatening people?
Oh yeah.
How did I, Gary, do I threaten?
I'm waiting to hear what he has to say next.
You bitch, Sam Van Ruby.
No, I'm waiting to hear what he says.
You're coming off.
Wait,
they got so much money. You have.
Hold on a second.
Wow. Bowie's Lake Geneva.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm at a loss here. Clearly Jason wants to throw it, he's throwing it at him. He's alone in this. One gun, whatever. And Gary's just afraid to take any side here. Yes, he's friends with both of them, whatever. But he clearly agrees. Otherwise, he would have taken Ross's side outright and said, you're way out of line. Because Jason is an underling.
Mm-hmm. You're right. And I think that's exactly why he's being quiet. He's just sitting there, and every now and then, he popped up. But yeah, I think everyone is kind of sitting there looking at Ross going what is wrong with you?
Yes.
What is 100%. Wrong with you?
Without question.
Yeah.
And do you think they also want Ross to dig himself a deeper hole?
Mm-hmm. I think probably, even though Gary is friends with him, he, like everybody else, knows Ross is just a dick. Like, they all know it. They've seen it. They've been with him places and have seen how he operates. And whether he's your quote friend or not, they're still sitting there wanting Jason to stick it to him. I think so.
Okay, serious question. Because I think anybody, guy or girl, in their lives, in their lifetimes, has, they have a group of friends or various groups of friends throughout your life. And in some of those groups over your lifetime, you might have a person that's part of that group that you don't really want in there. Like, no one really likes them. They put up with them. And not a sibling of a friend, but, like someone who literally either they changed and they became asshole-ish, or they were always that way, but this person for some reason likes them, so they get to tag along. And you put up with them for so long before you finally, everybody clues in, and even that person, the one that's friends with them, decides, yeah, they're not right. And then you feel like, why did we have to endure all that shit all these years?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a situation like that?
Yes, I have. And I immediately am thinking of someone. Okay. And it was a girl, because it was a group of girlfriends, but it's kind of like when you first get to know people, and because it was the old job that I had. And so all of us met each other there. We were in our 20s. And when you first meet someone, you don't really know them that well, but so we all kind of came together at the same time. So the more we started hanging out, going out after work and on the weekends and stuff, it's like this person, their personality just got like bigger and bigger and bigger. And she was just a dick. Like, she would insult us. She would be like, oh, your hair, it looks good. But it was that, it looks good. Like, not really. And she was obnoxious. And we all just would like look each other, like talk behind the scenes. Like, did you hear that? Did you hear her say that? But then this weird thing happens because they're clicked into the group. How do you get rid of them? Like, they're just how do you disrupt the group in such a way that this doesn't create some kind of ripple effect and you're the asshole? Oh, you nailed it. Because had I said something, I would have been the asshole. Yes. Yep.
Well, I was the asshole in a group at university. I did become the asshole because I took a side, and I really just should have kept it really casual with everybody and kept my distance more or less and just go out for drinks and not see anything into it. But I had an inability then, and I still have that inability to just not accept bullshit. Like, I could not hang out with someone because they were a friend of someone. If I didn't like them, I didn't want to be around them. And I'm still like that. And it doesn't mean I'll, make a scene or anything, but it was more along the lines of, I'm not going to, if you're friends with this person, you hang out with them. I'll just whatever, give them the Bronx nod and that'll be it. But don't ask me to interact with them. It won't happen ever. And maybe I'm the problem. Maybe in life you have to get along all the time. Well, I would get along. I just would have nothing to do with that person. And other people didn't like that. They didn't want waves. They did not want disharmony because it's going to affect them socially. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Life changes. Life isn't perfect all the time. And you do have to you don't have to put up with assholes all the time. There's no hard and fast rule that says you got to deal with assholes.
And you shouldn't.
No,
look, there are times where you kind of have to deal with it. And that's fine. But in your close friend circle, no, you absolutely do not. You don't.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, and so anyway, in this particular case, in this work situation that Gary and Jason and Ross, again, I don't know that they have to put up with Ross's thing for a minute. And I think that's where Jason's coming from. He's there long enough where he can say, I don't lose anything by, not being friends with you. And I'm just sick of this bullshit. Why are we tap dancing around this hippopotamus in the room? And I don't mean Jason, about this guy that comes out and just like holds tickets over your head or says, oh, if you want to go see Tom Petty, what are you going to do for me? That kind of thing. Or you have to kiss my ass if you want these things. No one likes that.
No. And I think Jason too probably has been there long enough that he realizes, okay, I have been here long enough. I'm not low on the totem pole anymore. I'm not a lowly intern. I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. The end.
Yeah. And he's seen where that can get him on the air in the especially after Stuttering John left, and he knew that that's one angle to get on there. And to be fair, he got on the air way more than Shuli ever did by doing that. And
he did.
Shuli, who's working his dues in 2022, paying his dues rather, and has been doing stand up for however long, couldn't make it on the air as much as Jason did.
Yep.
Yeah. Except for the whack-back bullshit, which, of course, that went away.
Well, Jason, you have a wonderful way of deflecting. I asked you a question. Answer it. Yes. You accuse me of not taking no for an answer and keep coming back.
Right.
When you book a guest and you hear no, do you ask again?
Sometimes I don't. Depends what the situation is.
But you're accusing me of going to Gary and not taking no for an answer. Let me explain to you what I'm accusing you of.
Answer the question. I'm going to answer the question. What I'm accusing you of, you accuse me of being unprofessional. I'm saying you're being unprofessional. Whether or not you're doing your job is one thing, and the way that you're doing it is an unprofessional manner. You yell and you scream and you act like a baby. You do it in meetings, you do it to people in the hall, and you do it in Gary's office. That is the end of my statement.
Wow. And no one's backing Ross up. Not one.
Not one. And there's no laughter in the background either. Like,
no.
It's serious.
Now, is that because they're afraid of Ross, or because they agree with him anyway and they're afraid of Ross?
Well, they're probably afraid of Ross a little bit. It just feels so heavy in there that I wonder if they're just not watching the show. Like, they're just like, oh my God, is he really saying that? But I feel most certain every person in that room, including Gary, agrees with Jason.
Or is it simply, hey, I do want Nick's tickets. I do want Stevie. I do want Fleetwood Mac reunion tickets. So I'll just keep my mouth shut. Let these two have at it, and then fuck it. That's it. I'm safe.
Yeah.
But in this situation, you have to know a guy like Ross will take Gary back and say, "Why wouldn't you say anything?"
That's true.
Because he's a bitch. Like, he's just like, why didn't I have my reinforcements? And most bullies require a couple of other big asshole lunkheads with them because they are too chicken to go one-on-one.
They have their gang with them. They have their
Absolutely.
gang. And that makes them feel comfortable too, because they know that they've got the two, whatever what did you call them?
The two meatheads. I don't know, the back.
Yeah, meatheads.
Lugheads.
Yeah, lugheads. That's it. He's got those two behind him supporting him. So if things get heavy for real, he can step back, and then the two big guys will come in and take care of business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not happening here. That's not happening at all.
No. And so the other thing is, I think it could be a culmination of people just getting fed the fuck up with Ross, because there is a time, and I don't know exactly when it is. Maybe it's when Bubba calls in to talk about the Hogan tape with his ex Heather, because there was scuttlebutt that Ross fucked Heather as well, and that's on videotape, and Bubba has that.
Wow.
And that was, and this cheating on his wife, who looked like an equally big hoe bag, maybe not on the Heather level, but pretty slutty looking.
I do remember that. And wasn't there something, I feel like there was another instance of Ross either cheating, and it was like public knowledge on the show, or he...
Supposedly, it was Stuttering John, one of his podcasts, where he said, I was in LA. Of course, he lived in California for the longest time while he was doing, I think, the Tonight Show was being filmed in California. So he said he saw Gary and Ross at a table with two women that were not their wives.
That's it. That was it.
That was it. And then they kind of said, like, hey, and don't take any pictures, that kind of thing. And we're not here to out, philandering assholes if they are alleged philandering people, whatever. And we don't go after. We let who are these podcasts go after John. Seems like they like to dedicate. We made a show about Howard and etc. And and we'll do some Stuttering John stuff eventually when it fits our purposes. But we're not going to go after the why kick the drunk in the alleyway.
I know.
That's my sort of take on it.
I agree. It's too easy. Like, it just feels too. He's already not doing so great. He doesn't need our.
Couldn't you just pop some popcorn and watch his show?
Right.
Let him roast himself daily.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Jeez, now I got to go around watching Ross to see if all this is true.
Yeah.
Wonder what Tim's next bit is going to be.
Yeah, to improve the
Relations.
atmosphere in the office.
He's creating fun. He goes, come on, we were in a joking job. We have to create a loose, fun atmosphere. I go, really? Is that what you need to do? Why don't you let me worry about that?
I don't think he did it here.
His big quote was, "This isn't an insurance company." I'm like, you're not kidding.
Yeah, but we can't even get the funny stuff done anymore.
My job is a lot like a coach.
Right.
We plan our success and we execute the plan.
If anybody has corporate middle speak down pat, it was fucking Tim Sabian. I know Sam wants to interview him if we ever get the chance, but I have no desire to.
I agree, because I don't think he's going to say anything anyway. And that's just his role. I think. Yeah. I think he's just carrying that role with him on into retirement or whatever he's up to now. And I don't think he's ever gonna.
There was a guy I think that's still out there, Ed's Boring Podcast, and he interviewed Sabian. He interviewed. Sorry, did I say ordered? My God, I'm 79 here. 78. 78 RPM. Tom Chiasano. And Tom Chiasano was good, dry, because that's Tom. I mean, let's be honest. You could tell Tim didn't want to talk bad about anything. And Chiasano was very forthright and said, look, there were problems getting Howard to commit to meeting sponsors to sell stuff. And it was a struggle. Tim would never say that. Never. Mm-hmm.
I think so, too. I think, Tim part, it's just his personality. But I think he is such a corporate I don't even know what the word is. He's just such a corporate, go-getter. That always will come first. That will always come first. And I think that's just in him at this point. And he's never going to turn back.
So it's a self-preservation type thing, instinct?
I think that, but then more so, I think it's just his loyalty that I don't know if he could ever really be truthful, even though it was a shitty situation and shitty stuff happened. I just don't think he'd ever talk about it.
Do you think he'd write a book and leave it behind? I don't think he knows enough to write a book or can write a book, to be honest with you. Maybe you should try reading a book. But I wouldn't want it to come from him. I know where the books I'd like to see come from. Anyway, I'm just curious about that, because what your thoughts are on because there's certain people from the show, like Jackie, when we tried to interview him, and it was like pulling teeth, because he thinks every story he's ever told has never been heard before, so he feels honor bound to go through the fucking motions. And dude, this isn't your filibuster soapbox. This is Q&A. This is what it is. You're more than happy to hear you answer it, but don't prolong the shit by adding some anecdote that's in your book.
Right. He's just rehashing the same old stories over and over again everywhere he goes.
Yes.
So you're right. You're not getting anything from him.
No.
Tim, I think too, is just a nice guy, probably.
I guess, I suppose. I mean, I don't like the way they railroaded him out of there with that shitgate thing. That was really stupid and really childish and not entertaining. I remember at the time I didn't go through it. About a week or a month later, I heard it and I go, this is what they feel is compelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was mean. It felt mean to me. I didn't like it.
And it wasn't like he exploded. I mean, they talked about it like he literally bent over and did a Jackson Pollock on the wall.
I know. Oh God.
Sorry guys, Sam, don't listen to that. Yeah, I should have told you before. But either way, guys, I know you have your say. If you think Tim Sabian's worth seeking out, by all means, but I'm not going to be making the entree. I'm not going to be making any overtures because I don't have any desire for it. But I'd take a shot at it, I suppose. If you interview Jackie, I suppose you can interview Tim Sabian and try to make the most of it. At any rate, let's continue with the ugliness.
I like. Oh, sorry. I like teasing Ross. I know Ross is a very sensitive person. I do.
I was watching Howard TV Behind the Scenes, which is my favorite show on Howard TV. They're doing a great job. And this week they have 3 different scenarios of what went on behind the scenes. And one of them was when this naked chick came in. And I see Tim behind the scenes. He's sitting in the control room of the TV studio. Watching the naked chick.
Whoa. Doesn't he have things to do?
I don't know. He's creating fun all over the place.
Sounds like Tim's the dirty old man is what it is. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, I mean, look where he is. I know, but still, you're dressing like a salesman. Maybe don't act like a Scores, Scores, or what do you call it? Parking attendant.
I think Ross has a lot of personality flaws. Like, he's very sensitive, and he has a big ego, and he thinks his shit doesn't stink, and he holds everything over everyone's head like he's the last time I get you Foo Fighter tickets, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's like the Santa Claus of the office. And I think it's funny to poke holes in that persona, but I never had anything personal against Ross.
He just listed 5 things.
Oh, listen, I have my own flaws, too. I know them. Doesn't
what are they?
Like myself.
What are your flaws?
I'm loud.
Right.
I have a horrible nasally voice.
Right.
I can definitely say go too far with either making fun of people or saying things where I shouldn't say things. Yeah, I got flaws.
What about in the office? What about your professional
all those things
life?
are things I do in the office. I'm loud in the office. I talk too much. I say things I probably shouldn't say sometimes. I mean, it happens. And I'm fat. I mean, I don't know. I got lots of flaws. You're very tan. I don't know how.
I gotta agree. Fake tan, spray tan. What do you call it? UV. Like, what are those sunbed tans in the middle of
tanning
winter?
beds.
In the middle of winter, like when people come out, like they haven't they haven't gone anywhere yet. They've got this look of, they look like I don't know, Hulk Hogan. All of a sudden, you're supposed to go, yeah, wow, great. How was Florida? Quote unquote.
Natural. Very natural.
Very natural.
Yeah, man. How are you so tan?
Wow.
Are you hitting on the personal level or the professional level?
Professional. Listen, man, I love Ross, and I know he's very busy because every Thursday through Monday he can't find him because he's in the Bahamas or Miami. Why is everyone laughing? Everyone's laughing off, Mike.
Jason, you know what? If you didn't work in this environment, I don't think you'd have a job.
Well, I don't think you would either.
Well, there you go.
My goodness.
Jason knows how to.
Now, the difference is now Ross has gone from place to place and obtained work. However, that's happened. Jason's gone from school to working at the Stern Show and is still there. I don't know, by the grace of God, if he's making any kind of money to do that, like enough money to live his life. I can't believe it, actually.
I can't either.
Yeah. No. But did you see Ross there with that whole, it was almost like the gears in his head just stopped. And you could see him go, what's my next move?
Right. It's clear Jason's winning this. And that's why everyone is like giggling in the background, because now it's like, ooh, you just got him good. Yeah. You just got him good. That wasn't bullshit. You're a dummy. The tan thing was a bullshit little childish thing. But the other insults he just gave were like real insults.
And going after his professionalism, his work ethic, the lack thereof, more or less. But and what happens later, of course, and you're going to play it. I think of the Good Will Hunting. I hate to keep bringing it back to movies, but the whole, Will gets into the middle of that whole, he takes apart that one guy's argument in the bar when they're trying to hit on Minnie Driver, and then after the end of it, when the guy goes, I'll get a degree and you'll still be in here, you'll be serving us fries, when we're going to a ski trip in Aspen, and he goes, yeah, well, if maybe, but I won't be unoriginal. He says, well, maybe we can take it outside. That's when Will loses it. Because he was fine up until that point, and all of a sudden you went into the gutter, and that guy got one on you. That's where you had to take it because you had no recourse. You had no way of going anywhere else. Yeah. And Ross is going to do the same thing, and that's the last refuge of someone who's, in my opinion, incredibly immature.
Very, very, because he doesn't have to get to this point usually.
No,
he probably is. He is a baby. He's like a big old baby toddler. Yep. Pitching a fit to get everything he wants, and so most people are going to give in because they just don't deal with it. Number one, Yeah.
And he's taken aback there, of course, because he's probably never heard anybody say that to him in his life, including his wives or wives. I don't know, girlfriends, whatever. Right. And maybe because, like Howard, he would act like a baby, and we're speculating here, we have no way of knowing, but he would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Most people, if they know someone's going to be disagreeable when you tell them the truth, you stop telling them the truth. You just figure it's not worth it. Yeah, I found.
Argue, man. Anyway, so it got worse and worse. You want to hear the last clip?
Sure. I want to know how this ends.
Well, not well. I think Ross tries to get Jason to step outside.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Jason knows how to get under your skin, but the thing that pisses me off about it, and he enjoys it.
Oh, yeah.
He gets off on it. And if you show him that side of you, he will attack because that's a part of his personality that I can't stand.
I don't mean to insult people's appearance, but Jan looks like he's wearing a one-piece toddler's like pajama piece because the shirt is almost perfectly matching the dad jeans. And like he looks like he's wearing one of those Pete Townsend boiler suits, but it's all denim.
Like those mechanic coveralls.
And guys, we're not insulting mechanics. I got two uncles that were mechanics. One of them's passed away recently. So I love, and this isn't a backpedal, but there is stereotype, guys, whether you like it or not. He could be a grease monkey. Yeah, he could be. God. What's it? Break, repair, chic.
Especially
wait, have you ever been punched out?
Punched in the face. I don't think I've been punched in the face. I've gotten in a fight before, but especially a paper tiger like Ross is somebody who is great because he has such an inflated ego and an arrogance about himself that anytime you could just needle that a little, it's like the greatest thing in the world. That's why even though Tim was in the wrong yesterday, it was great fucking radio because it got under Ross's perfect fucking skin, and Tim is right. You are a ball buster, and Tim. I'm not defending what Tim did because I think that is wrong the way he took your picture in the meeting and just sent it out on an email without you knowing about it. But I mean, he did have a point at some point. Get over it, dude. I mean, really. Yeah, see, you're gonna be angry at Tim. You're taking the anger at Tim to me now because I put out one tweet yesterday saying I was enjoying the wrap-up show. Before that, what happened before the tweet?
I just told you.
Well, I missed it.
Now, this is where it gets interesting because Jason's hitting him also on very salient point. He's going to go after the weaker person he can, the person that's not going to cause any trouble with, and that's Jason. If he gets pissed off, he can't get pissed off at Tim. Tim's the whatever department manager there. Can't get pissed off at Gary. He's the producer. Go after low-hanging fruit.
That is such a good point. I didn't even think of that. You are right. And what has fucked him up? He wasn't expecting what Jason's giving him.
Not even the slightest. He's flabbergasted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he is.
Absolutely
look at him,
gobsmacked. Arms crossed, looking in disbelief, like I've never had this happen to me before.
Yes, like that meme we always use of does not compute. It's that lady with the wand, the Goodwill Hunting mathematician things.
Right. Or the one guy with the exploding galaxy behind him going into the screen. Yes. Mind being blown.
This is a real life meme because he is like, what?
Yeah, so guys, here's your photoshoppers. If you're in with us on Patreon and you want, this isn't the greatest quality copy I have rather, but it's the best I could do. But still, from this still, if you want to take a screen cap of this and maybe try to sharpen it a little bit, Matthew Schultz, I'm thinking of you, or Gary Puppet, if you're in the neighborhood and you see it. And try to add your own thought balloon to Ross and make put him somewhere where I don't know, and you decide what's in the caption. What's the caption for this one? Because I'm amazed. I'm still amazed when I see it.
You've been thinking this the whole time?
All your little bullshit. And
you can't even keep an assistant, dude. This is what a horrible boss you are.
Wow.
People are just leaving you in droves. What are you on, 2 assistants in 3 years now?
How fat are you?
285 pounds.
So every day I'm going to bring a scale next to you, and we're going to start weighing you every day, and you come to my office and do attendance because you're sure that I don't show up for work.
I never said you didn't show up for work.
You're more than welcome to come to my office every day to see if I'm there, and there's going to be a scale there, and we're going to have the Jason chart,
I'm your boss.
and we're going to watch how fat you are every day. So you want to do that with me?
No.
You can take my attendance. You're sure I don't come? You're sure I'm not here Thursday through Monday?
No, Ross, I'm not your boss. I don't really.
And by the way, Ross, Jason has taken his shirt off in the studio. I'm sure he doesn't give a fuck about weighing himself, and it's not going to cause one lick of difference. In fact, you could probably tell Jason just about anything, and it wouldn't bother him one bit because of who's going to give it to him, and that's Ross. because he knows he's got him. That's the one thing about people like Jason. You cannot, once they've found out that they're getting to you and you're just like, it's return fire, it's defensive fire, that you're not going to bother him with anything because he knows he got over on you.
Oh, he knows. He knows. He has a glint in his eye, as they say, during this, because now he's like, yep, I'm winning. Ross is fumbling.
And not to defend John Hine, but he was correct. Jason is in his element now. This is when he's ready to make the glaze. He's totally like in the pocket, as they say.
No, but you're acting like it. You're taking attendance.
You called me unprofessional, and we got in this long argument about who's the most unprofessional.
You're making accusations that you can't back up.
Well, you're right here, so say it. Are you not in Miami every other weekend?
No, I'm not in Miami every other weekend.
Well, then there's your side of the story. Congratulations.
And we don't have to talk about my assistant, but she decided to leave, and it wasn't because she couldn't work with me. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, really.
Well, I don't listen. All I know is your assistant's leaving. Tim's got 2 assistants. They're multiplying. He can't get rid of them. They're flocking.
Tim, I wish I wasn't working here with you. I really do. I really do.
Aw. Well, then quit, and then you could beat me up on the street if that's what you're looking at.
I'm not beating you up.
Then what?
And Jason has nailed it. Like if anybody doesn't get from that he wants to basically pummel him right now, that's his go-to, because that's the reflex. I'll just beat you up.
Yep. Because he's not winning any other way.
No,
nope. He's gonna default to the thing that has gotten him where he is today.
Not mentally, not verbally. He's lost, so he's got to go back to that fallback. The only way he thinks he can get back, and as if Jason's going to be like, okay, let's take to the streets. Oh, I got my 9. Jesus Christ.
Then what? If it's not about that,
you are a piece of work.
There you go. Well, anyway.
You said that was the last clip, but if you care, I have a bonus clip.
What's the bonus clip?
Right in the other column in white.
Yeah.
So what happened was we went to commercial break, and then we were commercial break. Ross wasn't done yet, and
is this where you asked him to step outside?
Yeah.
Oh.
We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll try to resolve this. We'll try to talk about Dave Navarro. Try and let some tension out of the room. You'll leave the wrap-up show on Howard 100. Howard 100.
Wow. No, I'm serious, dude. Come on. No, take a walk. I'm not going to touch you. Just come on.
Wait, a guy who just called me an asshole for 8 years is telling me to take a walk with him in the air? Come on. Come here.
Come take a walk. You're a big guy behind the microphone. I'm not going to hit you. You're going to have Jim Trellis. Come take a walk.
I'm afraid of you hitting me. I just don't want to have an argument with you off the air. We'll have the argument on here.
Raise my voice like I
to the camera come?
Just take a walk with me.
No, I don't feel like I'm too fast to walk.
I promise you, I'm not going to yell and I'm not going to slam the door. Just take a walk with me. If you can sit there behind the microphone, you can give me the.
I'll come to your office after the break.
No, I'd like to talk to you right now. I have to interview someone that's been sitting there for 20 minutes because my assistant didn't want to work for me. So come over here, Mr. Big Shot. I'm serious. I'd like to talk to you.
I'll talk to you in your office after the show, or I'll talk to you on the air now. Because I'm in the middle of doing a radio show.
You're behind the microphone, you Mr. Big Guy.
I'll come talk to you in your office after the show.
You Mr. Big Guy?
I'll come talk to you in the office after the show.
Talk to me right now.
No, I don't want to talk to you.
Why not?
Because you're not my boss and you can't order me around.
Talk behind a microphone. You can't talk to me. Please turn it off.
Well, they turned it off. Whose idea was to turn it off?
I thought they.
His face. That was a face of a man in rage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Like that was that was definitely no shtick. You know how this show can definitely at certain times be all, it's orchestrated crap and whatever. That was real.
That was real. That was like scary real. Like I was waiting for him to just pounce and get him.
And so isn't the conceit, not the conceit, isn't the takeaway that it's most likely happened many times in his life, just things like that? Not where someone has taken him to task like that, but where he's reacted like that for even lesser things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was not getting his way. Mm-hmm. Jason was not bowing down to Ross's anger.
Wasn't scared.
Not even a little bit. And Ross was like, what the fuck is going on right now? And he's not used to that. He is not used to it. And so absolutely, he's used to pushing his way through, pushing people out of the way, getting mad, pitching a fit, and everybody does what he wants. And it wasn't happening. So I imagine he has done that with girlfriends. He's done that with friends, anyone who dared not do what he wants. That's a natural go-to reaction. So say Gary was arguing with Ross, do you think he would have gotten that mad? Or do you think somewhere inside he would have been like, no, Gary's upper level?
No, it's based on the level of what if I can't get something from you, like can I get something from you or can't I? With Jason, it was first of all, it's a couple things. Number one, he's a smarmy. He's the kid he probably beat up 1,000 times in his life.
Yep.
Or 100 times. And I'm thinking of that scene in True Detective when Colin Farrell beats up the kid's dad and he holds the kid in front of him. You got to watch this. Your dad's doing this for you. I love that scene. It's the best anti-bullying scene you've ever seen. Anyway, he's not used to that, number one. So that's why he got to the level he has. I think more often than not, Ross has just been whiny to get his way. And he's not had to resort to that. But for Bowie, he instinctively, I think he would know, oh, I'll not be in with Howard if I do something to him like that.
Yeah.
Because Gary, first of all, will tell Howard right away.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a case where if an AJ Benza gets fired for almost slapping Stuttering John at K-Rock, not Sirius, what would happen? That would happen to Ross at Sirius. There'd have to be a human rights thing, union or no union.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing with bullies, too, is that if it's funny how easily they can kind of be reeled back in.
Yep.
Sometimes. Yep. And so I could absolutely see somebody in authority or somebody in true authority, like Howard. Gary is in authority to a certain extent. And so anybody on that level would easily kind of push Ross back down to where he didn't get as angry. Because that's a good point you made about Jason being the kid that he's beaten up 1,000,000 times, except this time that little kid is like not taking his shit, and he is like, what?
Yeah, the wires are crossed in his head.
They are.
They're fusing, and he's like,
yes, exactly.
Listen, does not compute. You're right.
Put it down and left it on.
Oh man.
So what happened was Jason stepped outside. He came back about 30 seconds later. He goes, "Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. You're a piece of shit. I hope you die. Don't ever fucking talk to me again."
Right. So they talk.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the thing with Jason and Ross has been brewing long before this.
Yeah.
But man, it just. When they left the studio, John and I almost were like, we thought we went too far, you know?
Maybe. I mean, you didn't go too far. Maybe they did.
Or maybe let it go too far.
Hey, what are you going to do, man? Fighting. Might as well fight on the air if you're going to fight. Why do it off the air?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, what let it go too far implies that they had the ability to stop it or say that's enough, and they chose not to. So why not?
Right.
Like you and I are both saying, like, well, they wanted it to happen. They wanted Jason. They were like silently going, you go, girl. You go, big girl.
Were.
Go, Grimace.
They absolutely were. They were letting him be the mouthpiece on this one.
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In fact, I realize when you fight on the air, it keeps things civil. Like people don't end up killing each other because they're worried with the cameras on the, the cameras and the microphones are open.
Evidence.
Yeah, evidence.
Fun.
Gary, listening back to that clip, you just said as soon as it happened, you felt as if maybe you and John let it go too far.
Yeah, because it was really tense and it was really ugly, and I thought it might get physical. But not only that, you could see that it wasn't one of those things that was going to be repaired in a minute, or may never be repaired. And Ross is a good friend of mine, and Jason's a good
friend of mine. A good friend. Are you friends at this point in your life? And you're way younger than Gary, and so am I. But is there anybody in your life remotely like Ross that you're still hanging out with, or that you?
No.
Yeah.
No way. Mm-mm.
Right. Mm-mm. So what does that tell you about Gary?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tells us all we need to know.
I think so. Yeah.
I like them both, and it was just really, it was ugly. I mean, it's fascinating to watch, and it's fascinating to listen to, but sometimes we do stuff here that may affect the bigger picture.
Right. You have personal ties to it.
Well, not only that, but like we have that meeting where Tim took the picture of Ross's head. Well, we're in that meeting every Monday, and sometimes that meeting is literally me, Jason, Ross, and one other person. So now I have to do this meeting every Monday. I need to get stuff done, and I've got a person here and a person here who can't even look at each other.
Did that happen this past Monday?
Yeah, sort of.
And it's just an awkward tension. You can feel it in the room.
Yeah, everybody's a Willie in that respect. But when you come on the air, you're saying to everybody, all right, you can come on. Here's a place where a safe haven to tell your true feelings.
Beauty of the wrap.
Except if they're to the boss or to Robin. Right. Or clearly to Ross. Oh, man.
Up show, a very level playing field.
Yes, exactly.
Jason, you've had some time to, I'm sure listen back to that clip a few times and really let it sink in. You've had a weekend to think about what happened between you and Ross. Have you changed your stance at all? Have you come back towards him a little bit?
I would say, if anything, maybe I went a little overboard. Maybe I got a little defensive because I knew where he was going. And maybe I went a little overboard. But other than that, no. But Ross did this to me last year with the fucking bathroom. Howard and Gary and Tim, his friends, his longtime friends, they go over each other's houses, they eat together, blah, blah, blah. The only three people with power in this building to lock Ross out of that bathroom or give him access, they all voted no. But who does he blame? Who does he direct all his anger at when he can't?
And I will say, I did hear him say this when I reviewed the thing and cut through it, but I wasn't 100% convinced until I started listening to it, and so I'll give Jason the credit for coming up with the whole concept, like the whole idea that's the root of it was I can go after this kid, I can't go after these other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there will be ramifications with the other three, but not with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get in that bathroom. Me.
Oh, sorry, please.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm actually sympathizing with Jason a little bit. I hate to say it, like
no, it's sure.
I don't blame him at all. Like he had enough. Yeah. And there's no telling what had happened before even the bathroom incident and up until this one this one was a big one, and only because of the way Ross reacted to it. And so Jason's like, fuck this. I'm not taking it anymore. I'm not taking it. And he just let it go.
And add to this, Ross let it get to that point. And then he says, turn the camera off. He didn't have the presence of mind to say, turn the camera off. I got to say some stuff now that I know I don't want out there.
Yep.
So that's how stupid he was to let it go out there. And then after the fact, think dick first, head second. And and anybody like that, you got to keep dinner forks out of their hands. You got to keep them away from the fucking poker next to the fireplace. I mean, a person like that, because if they get fucked up, they could do anything. They could get whiskey anger. They could get coked up and decide, let's, throw this out the fucking window. Let's dance on the rooftop and, go on the side of the roof and whatever. They're just nuts.
They are nuts. It's that uncontrollable rage that comes out. And then I don't think they can even control it past a certain point. It's like very animalistic.
No. And then you're dealing with someone instead of actually like in interacting with them.
Right. And, I argue you probably can never interact with Ross really anyway. Like you really can't get through and have like a real logical connecting kind of conversation. It's always this sports game. Right. Transactional things happening back and forth. There's nothing real. Like you can't get there. He's blank. He's just...
You could go out with him for dinner and talk about the business. You could talk about sports. You could talk about surface level bullshit, but you couldn't really get deep with him, and you wouldn't necessarily want to because maybe he's not capable of it. And maybe that pea brain of his, that T-Rex brain of his, wouldn't be able to process anything deeper than, I don't know, fucking onion skin anyway. So what's the point? And the other thing is that personality, like I said, it's repellent.
It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't have that in your corner, you can't get these tickets. Would you spend time with Rob? I'm sorry, Ross, Rob, and Ralph. Robin, Ralph. It's the R's. The R's have it, guys. And Ronnie. There's too many R's in there. We can't stand. Although kudos to you for defending Ronnie when you were talking with Raven. Another R. That like Ronnie at his worst, even at the let's fuck some whores days, way more appealing to hang out with him. Let's say, who was the comparison?
I think the comparison was Howard, obviously, but for sure, yeah. Really, any of them? Yeah, I'd probably take Ronnie. I would take Ronnie at Bubba's wedding over half the other people on that staff. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like that's the truth of it. At least Ronnie's fun. I would
drink with the Howard TV guys for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
The tape screaming at me because he blames me for him not being in that bathroom. He loves going after the person with the least amount of power because that's his MO. He was mad at Tim, he yells at me. He's mad at Tim and Howard and Gary, he yells at me. So, he always throws that, I'm not your friend anymore cards. You know what? You're not my friend. You're not my friend, okay? I live with you. I'll get through life without you being my friend. We're co-workers, and that's it.
So Gary was correct when he said this tension has been mounting for almost years now. I mean,
I've never felt as comfortable around Ross as a friend since that bathroom incident, but I didn't realize that he had been building up this whole thing against me that exploded on the wrap-up show, because as Gary pointed out in the air, it wasn't about the tweet, apparently. It was about other shit. So, once he started going down that road again on the wrap-up show, that's where I was just like, all right, the first time he did it, I was, put off by it, but I tried to put it behind me. The second time he does it, forget it. Fuck him. He's going to blame me every time Gary or Howard pisses him off. He can go fuck himself.
Ross.
Now we hear from Captain Cokehead himself. And like I said, guys, it's just that attitude. Fuck, I want to drop kick him. I don't even know the guy, and I want to just give him a Paul Roma triple backbreaker.
I'd like to hear your take on the events that transpired on the wrap-up show last week, and if you're feeling any more.
I just want to move on. I have, it's an interesting dynamic here. I am an executive on the Sirius XM side and work closely with the Stern Show, and it's great radio. I get it. I just want to move on from it. I am disappointed in Tim. I'm still upset at Jason. I felt that there was no respect towards me. I feel that he can just open a throw grenade in the room and have fun with it. I was unable to defend myself the way I'd like to on the air, but
you had every moment needed to defend yourself, unless he's talking about on the Howard's air, not the wrap-up show.
Right.
To be fair, but come on.
Or defending himself in physically by beating someone up. But
yeah, pretty much.
Will defend myself off the air, but I just want to move on. We all have to work together, and as I said, it's a professional environment, and I'm sure I love to have fun, and we'll keep that out of the workplace. But I'm disappointed in Tim, and I'm still very upset with Jason. I feel there was a lack of respect there that I deserve some.
Maybe he doesn't deserve any, and that's the whole point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Grow up, realize I have nothing to do with keeping you out of the bathroom. Nothing. I have nothing to do with taking a picture of your fucking bald head and emailing it to everybody. Nothing. I had nothing to do with Tim yelling at you on the wrap-up show. Nothing. I wrote a tweet laughing about what Tim said on the wrap-up show, and now I'm public enemy number one with you. No, you're picking on the weakest person here, and it's disgusting.
And you've become the scapegoat for his built-up tension and
I am the scapegoat. I am the scapegoat for everything wrong in Ross's work life. Yes, I am the scapegoat. But no more. I am not a scapegoat. Tim and Ross always threatening to go down roads with each other. I go right down the road. I hop right in the car, I go right down the road. Dude, there's so much shit I didn't even get to on the wrap-up show. So much.
I would love if he just, and now mind you, I got to sift through back office radio now to see if there's more shit in there, but I doubt if there's going to be anything as good as, what's in his head. And again, we have that whole book notion. I would love to see Jason and Will put a book together, combined, unfettered. And just and they don't even have to use the real names, just because ex-Stern employees book, what do you call it? An Alan Smithy book. I don't know, something like that to protect themselves. But I will never see it, unfortunately, not yet anyway.
Do you think this will come out, or do you think if Ross comes to you, if he extends the olive branch?
Yes, I don't hate Ross Satan as a person. If he comes to me and he says, "Listen, I'm sorry, you're right. I took out my anger on the wrong person. I was wrong. I will apologize." And I say, you know what? Maybe I went a little. I would say I went a little overboard in the wrap-up show. I didn't need to jump down your throat like that. But otherwise, I'm not interested. I'm not going to be the one to extend the olive branch because he's the one that has a problem with me, not vice versa. I don't even care. I don't care. This is work. This isn't camp. I don't care. If Ross apologized to me, I would be gracious and accept it. And that's it.
But anything short of that, you've got more ammo built up.
I have ammo on everybody here. Let me watch out, Greg. No,
all right, let me end this interview.
Let's end this interview immediately. I hope we don't get into another fight on the air. If we do, I can certainly hold my own again.
I agree. 110%. But that ammo that he has about other people, I would love to know what the fuck all that is.
I know. What is it? You know what? He knows stuff about Gary. Number one, that's immediately who came to my mind. And then, of course, everybody else, but definitely Gary, I think, is up there. Sure.
Management. And I think, and not even that, what I think is Gary, who's in just as big a big mouth, is probably told Jason shitloads that he's meant to keep quiet. And he has and will until he needs to use it.
That's a good point. Yep. Because Gary's got to get it out somewhere. He's got to get it out.
And can you can imagine Gary like just commiserating, smoking a pack of Marlboro Reds, going like, "Oh, fucking these fucking pricks! They're fucking doing whatever. Just this is between me and you, though." You know what I mean?
He's probably doing that when he's on the elevator to some random that's on the elevator. It's between me and you, though.
Yeah, and I'm going to see Shaniqua over in Beverly Hills. But don't keep that between us, okay? Tell Mary I'm at the gym. I don't know that that's true, guys. I don't know if he's fucking around with his wife. I don't really care too much, but either way, the takeaway, guys, is you can hate Jason as we do. He's certainly a loathsome person, but he does have his qualities that are at least I wouldn't say redeeming, but they're useful.
No, I wouldn't want to get into an argument with him. I know that. Unless
why? Because he would throw everything at you.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good arguer. Like he's good. He's logical.
He is, and if you, like I said, if you have the Cro-Magnon brain Ross does, then maybe stick to beating up mailmen who don't give you your thing when you're expecting it, or don't deliver things personally, and have you sign for it. I think with Jason, on the other hand, I think. But unlike, let's say, someone like Stuttering John, I agree with you. I think he does have a sense of honor in himself that if it's something that he knows is really detrimental, he will not betray that. Like he might tell his wife, but he'll keep it to himself. Those other people, I don't think there's any real filter.
No. No.
The other thing is, information is no good if you spill it to everybody. If you got to maintain some amount of secrecy, otherwise you have a weapon that's unloaded.
That's true too, and he just keeps it in his pocket till he needs it.
Oh yeah, and don't think Gary doesn't know. He can just unload on it if he wants. So anyway, thank you, my dear, for pushing this one forward. And sticking with me through the ride. I'm sorry this one went a little long, guys. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you for your Patreons, your Patreon subs. And we hope you've enjoyed everything we put out so far and what we will continue to put out in the future. So thank you, my dear.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, guys.
Hey, you know what? That picture of Diana DeGarmo and you was good. You can't see the rifle someone has on her.
Yeah, whatever.
They're out of the frame, huh?
Good framing.
All right, Eric. We'll let the record note that you, in fact, are not stalking Diana DeGarmo. We got it.